What if the image that made you famous also became your greatest curse? These photos captured moments that changed the world, exposing truths and sparking movements. But for the photographers, they came at a heavy price. Haunting memories, public backlash, and lives forever marked by the weight of their work. These are the stories behind 10 photos that haunted the photographers who took them. Let's begin. A frail child collapses onto the parched Sudanese earth, her every breath a battle. In the background, a vulture perches ominously, its shadow falling over the scene, a chilling reminder of nature's indifference. Behind the lens, Kevin Carter hesitated, his choice one that would forever alter his life and the world's understanding of famine. Carter's image shocked the world, earning him a Pulitzer Prize. But the acclaim came at a devastating cost. Critics vilified him. Carter defended his role as a journalist, saying he was there to document, not intervene. But the guilt weighed heavily on him. The memory of the child, the outcry, and the unrelenting pressure followed him until, a year after winning his Pulitzer, Carter took his own life. In his note, he described vivid memories of death that never left him. Now imagine if you were in Kevin's position, camera in hand, staring at that scene. What would you have done? Capture the image to spark action, or intervene to save one life at the risk of leaving the story untold? In 1968, Ronald Haberle documented the My Lai massacre in Vietnam. Images of unarmed civilians, including women and children, gunned down by U.S. soldiers. At first he withheld the photos, but they later became pivotal in Seymour Hersh's explosive reporting. These images became a turning point for the anti-war movement, exposing atrocities the world could no longer ignore. But for Haberle, the lens became a double-edged sword. Capturing the truth meant living with the regret of inaction. When does the responsibility to act outweigh the duty to document? But if you thought the ethical dilemmas couldn't get more complex, wait until you hear about a photo that sparked outrage from its own subject and left the photographer questioning their role in history. A split-second decision defined Eddie Adams's career and forever changed how the world saw war. His photograph of General Nguyen Ngoc Loan executing a Viet Cong officer captured the raw, unfiltered brutality of the Vietnam War. The image spread like wildfire, becoming a visceral symbol of the conflict's savagery and a rallying cry for anti-war sentiment. But as the image gained fame, Adams knew it only told part of the story. Lone, vilified by the global audience, had just lost comrades, close friends, to the prisoner moments before. Adams later reflected on the unintended consequences of freezing a single moment in time, famously saying, "I killed the general with my camera." For Adams, the photo's legacy became an ethical dilemma that haunted him for the rest of his life. Was it fair to reduce a complex human moment into a static, contextless image? Lone's life was irreparably changed, his reputation tarnished, his actions misunderstood. Adams's photo captured a brutal truth, but obscured deeper layers of context and humanity. This tension, between the power of a single image and the complexities of truth, became a question Adams wrestled with for decades. How do we reconcile the raw impact of a photograph with the nuanced reality it represents? In 1936, Dorothea Lange's photograph of Florence Owens Thompson, later known as Migrant Mother, became an enduring emblem of the Great Depression. The image, with Thompson's weary eyes and her children clinging to her shoulders, encapsulated the silent resilience of struggling families. It mobilized aid and brought national attention to the plight of migrant workers. Yet, for Thompson, the photo brought no relief. She felt betrayed. Her consent was murky at best, and she saw no tangible benefit from the fame that followed. For Lange, the photograph was a source of pride and regret. She later acknowledged the ethical dilemmas of her work. Capturing a powerful narrative sometimes meant overlooking the humanity of those within it. The image told the story of resilience, but it came at a personal cost to the subject it sought to honor. It's a poignant reminder. Where does the responsibility of storytelling end and respect for the subject begin? The falling man challenges us even today. Captured by Richard Drew during the September 11th attacks, the photo freezes an unthinkable moment. A man, mid-air, having leapt from the Twin Towers. His descent is both horrifying and serene, his posture eerily resembling a deliberate dive. The image became one of history's most haunting symbols, a stark reminder of the unimaginable choices faced that day. Yet, its publication sparked intense backlash. For many, it felt like an invasion of the victim's dignity, a moment too raw, too personal to be shared with the world. Over the years, efforts to identify the man have brought a sense of humanity to the photo, transforming him from a symbol into a person with a story. But even as it forces us to confront the enormity of that day, the image raises an enduring question. When does the need to document history clash with the need to preserve personal dignity? In 1963, Malcolm Brown captured a protest like no other. His photograph of Teach Kwangjuk, a Buddhist monk, sitting calmly as he set himself ablaze in the middle of a Saigon street, shocked the world. The act was a protest against the oppressive policies of South Vietnam's Catholic-dominated government, which severely discriminated against the Buddhist majority. The image, with the monk engulfed in flames yet remaining unnervingly composed, became an enduring symbol of sacrifice and resistance. It intensified global pressure on the South Vietnamese government, exposing its persecution and galvanizing international outrage. For Brown, witnessing and documenting such a moment came at a heavy cost. He later described the emotional toll of being present for an act so profound and devastating. The calm resolve of Teach Kwangjuk haunted him for years, leaving behind questions that could never fully be answered. Nick Utt's 1972 photograph of Napalm Girl, a 9-year-old fleeing a napalm strike, became a defining image of the Vietnam War. Utt didn't stop with the photo. He saved her life, rushing her to the hospital. Yet for Phan Thi Kim Phuc, the subject, it meant a lifetime of trauma. Utt himself could never forget her screams. The photo forced the world to confront the horrors of war, but at what personal cost to all involved? But as powerful as this act of humanity was, another image from a different conflict raises a hauntingly unresolved question. A question about defiance, identity, and the courage to stand alone. During the Tiananmen Square protests in 1989, Jeff Widener captured one of the most iconic images of defiance, a lone man standing in the path of an advancing column of tanks. Widener, perched in a hotel overlooking the square, knew he was risking his life as he aimed his camera. Security forces closely monitored journalists, and smuggling the film out of China required courage and cunning. Yet, the image made it to the world stage, becoming a symbol of peaceful resistance and the enduring human spirit. Tank Man, as he came to be known, remains shrouded in mystery. His identity and fate are still unknown, though theories abound. Some speculate he was executed shortly after the protests. Others believe he quietly disappeared into anonymity. For many, he represents more than just an individual act of bravery. He stands as a reminder of the power of ordinary people to challenge oppressive regimes. Widener's photo raises a deeply resonant question. What does it mean to stand alone in the face of oppression? It's a moment that continues to inspire movements for freedom and justice worldwide, while reminding us of the sacrifices often required to make a stand. Margaret Bourke-White's photographs of the Buchenwald concentration camp in 1945 forced the world to confront the unthinkable horrors of the Holocaust. As one of the first female war correspondents to enter the liberated camps, she captured images that revealed the depths of Nazi atrocities. Emaciated prisoners, piles of discarded belongings, and the haunting stares of survivors who bore witness to unspeakable suffering. Her photographs became crucial evidence in war crimes trials, ensuring that the world could never deny the realities of the Holocaust. For Bourke-White, the assignment was both groundbreaking and deeply harrowing. She later described being overwhelmed by the stench, the silence, and the sheer scale of human suffering she encountered. Despite her professionalism, the experience left her emotionally scarred as she carried the memories of what she saw for the rest of her life. Her work stands as a testament to the power of photojournalism to reveal truth, but also as a reminder of the heavy burden borne by those who document humanity's darkest moments. Finally, in 2015, Niloufer Demir's heartbreaking photograph of 3-year-old Alan Kurdi, a lifeless refugee lying face down on a Turkish beach, brought global attention to the Syrian refugee crisis. The boy's tiny body, clad in a red shirt and blue shorts, became an unflinching symbol of the human cost of war and displacement. The photo spread rapidly across social media and news outlets, igniting international outrage and calls for immediate humanitarian action. Leaders debated policies, funds were raised, and grassroots movements sprang up in response to the image's harrowing message. But for Demir, the moment was deeply personal. She later described how, as she stood on that beach, she felt an overwhelming duty to capture the scene, to make sure the world could not look away. Yet, the act of photographing Alan carried a profound emotional weight. Demir spoke of her heartbreak at witnessing the aftermath of a family's desperate journey and the many lives lost in similar circumstances. The image shocked the world, forcing a confrontation with the consequences of inaction. But it also poses an enduring question. Can a single photograph, no matter how powerful, ever truly capture the human cost of such crises? For Demir, the emotional burden of that day remains a reminder of the countless untold stories that continue to unfold. These photographs revealed truths that changed the world, but left those behind the lens grappling with the price of their work. What's your take? Can an image's power ever outweigh its cost? Let us know in the comments below.